All right, let me do the thing. Hello, everyone.
You
Hello.
fucked it up, Johnny.
Yeah, that's right. Eat it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Austin Yorsky and Johnny Maloney.
We have 100,000 topics. Like normally, I assume you're recording this. So for the audience,
please.
normally we all show up in the Skype chat 5 minutes before we hit record. Leon says topics ? And then we put possible topics. And usually it's like one or two people saying, let's talk about this. There's like 6 pages here. There's a lot. So
Yeah, a lot of really nerdy stuff happened this week.
I'm sorry, I was just really excited because I just realized that the contest winners for the Bulwer Lytton Fiction Contest have been announced.
The what?
The Bulwer Lytton Fiction Contest.
The worst opening sentence, right?
Yeah, the worst. It was A Dark and Stormy Night is famous because it was written by Edward George Bulwer Lytton. And like the whole sentence goes, and this is the whole sentence. It was a dark and stormy night. The rain fell in torrents, except at occasional intervals when it was checked by a violent gust of wind which swept up the streets, for it is in London that our scene lies, rattling along the housetops and fiercely agitating the scanty flame of the lamps that struggled against the darkness.
What?
Yeah, that's the start of a book called Paul Clifford by Edward George Bulwer Lytton. And there's a university, I think. There's a group of different publications and things like that say write the worst beginning sentence to a novel that you could possibly think of, and then they announce the winners, and they have like special ones like adventure and children's literature and crime detective and stuff like that. But I'm just gonna quickly read this year's the 2015 winner of the Bulwer Lytton Fiction Contest. Are you ready?
Hold on. These people are doing this on purpose, or is it like are they taking actual novels?
No, they're doing it on purpose. You
Okay.
you only write one sentence and you submit it to the contest as being the worst possible opening to a novel that you can think of.
Had I
All
done
right.
this, I would have submitted something. But okay.
Oh, it's great. All you got to do is go to www.bulwerlytton. That's BULWER-LYTTON.com. And you can view old contest entries and runner-up and champions and things like that. But the 2015 winner goes, seeing how the victim's body, or what remained of it, was wedged between the grille of the Peterbilt 389 and the bumper of the 2008 Cadillac Escalade EXT, Officer Dirk Dirksen wondered why reporters always used the phrase sandwiched to describe such a scene, since there was nothing appetizing about it. But still, he thought, they might have a point, because some of this would probably end up on the front of his shirt.
We could just transcribe opening lines of our show and submit them. I bet we at least get a runner up.
It's possible.
I don't know that there's enough cohesiveness in the lines in our show.
So they're too bad for the bad opening contest, you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be bad, but it has to be the right kind of bad. My favorite categories are the science fiction and the romance. The romance is pretty incredible.
Because they're bad opening sentences, obviously, but they're also kind of self-contained jokes.
Right.
Yeah. The winner for this year's romance award goes, Claire had more daddy issues than Boy's Life magazine published in the late 1970, but she was a perfect match for Donald, whose personality was vaguely sticky, like the outside of a squeezable honey container, or anything handled by a 3-year-old. And the science fiction winner, last one.
Okay.
The gravitational pull-up here on Mars is much less than it is back at home base, of course, so your tongue sticks to the roof of our mouth and everyone sounds like Eleanor Roosevelt.
Some of these they're like too deliberately funny. Like the original quote is like is not supposed to be, right? That was like someone's genuine attempt to write a thing.
Bro, you can't make a contest about things that find novels that just genuinely suck. That's kind of mean-spirited.
The Western. I'm sorry, I just read the Western one. I know I promised that was my last, but this one is fantastic. Spurs a-jangling, Black Bert sauntered to the bar and cried, "This town ain't big enough," and then gulped a whiskey, fingered a six-shooter, and belched, "So I say we annex Dry Gulch, and thus increase our tax base while simultaneously reducing fixed costs through economies of scale."
So that's this episode.
I'm done. I'm closing the tab right now. It's closed.
Okay.
I'm not going back for the rest of the show, I promise.
All right.
I solemnly vow.
Okay. So a lot of things.
So where do you dildos want to start?
Yeah.
So many things.
Austin, let's just go through it one by one on the list of things that we otherwise we're gonna lose track. So the Game Awards happened. I didn't watch, but I imagine one of you must know something about it. So take it, not me.
Is this the award show where they give awards to who has the most game?
Close. I was actually gonna make a joke about nobody watching them, but they did actually surprisingly super good ratings. I think it was like 2.3 million people watched it, and it's probably gonna come back next year. So
2.3 million people had it on.
Yeah, for the commercials at least. I assume most people who are listening to us are familiar with the Game Awards. It's the thing that is replacing the Spike Video Game Awards that were hosted by Jeff Keighley. Is it Keighley or Cayley? That guy.
I think it's Keighley.
Before he spun off and did his own thing.
Didn't we do an episode about this a year ago and called the game and then in parentheses awards?
We sure did. It's something of a tradition. We've been talking about these for a while.
Okay.
Or this and the previous iteration of it.
Okay.
So yeah, it's basically the Grammys or Oscars for video games. It's the most mainstream kind of thing. I know you two haven't kept up with video games as much as you used to maybe this year, but do you guys want to run through these categories or talk about the
I still read the news and play the video games. I just don't get to do it as often.
That's kind of me too. I'm playing a game right now from a few years ago, but I am following the news here and there.
Well, I mean, that's what I meant, Johnny. I'm not saying it's your fault or you did it deliberately to spite me. I'm just saying we haven't kept up quite as much as we done in previous years. But
when you're kind of doing it as a pseudo job, it sort of demands a certain part of your time. And then when that pseudo job ends and you wake up one morning and you're like, wait, I can just enjoy these things at my own pace?
I'm free.
That's blasphemy.
Finally free.
Yeah.
But the game of the year, the official game of the year for the awards is The Witcher 3. That's CD Projekt Red. The developer also took Developer of the Year, so it's basically a clean sweep for them. I know Johnny and I played The Witcher 3.
And that little
Leon,
was the hype train pulling into the station and being like, "Oh yeah."
Leon, you played a Witcher and didn't like it, correct?
Yes.
Which one was that? 1 or 2?
2.
2 is the worst, in my opinion.
Oh, great!
Really?
Yeah, I know that's not a popular opinion. I know
it's a fascinating opinion, and I'm now going to look at the avatar on this Skype call of you as though a scientist studying a new species of bug that he's just discovered. Explain yourself, bug.
It's obviously a lot more polished. It's a lot prettier. It doesn't have those gross sex cards from the original. I get that on paper it's better in pretty much every way, but I just found it less compelling. The first one had this kind of low budget charm. It felt like people who came together and were like, well, against all odds, we're gonna do this thing, and then they did it.
It came to the party wearing its try-hard pants.
Yeah, and it was charming.
And you're like, oh, look at you.
And Witcher 2 felt like, aha, we got money now. Let's do this, like every other AAA company. And it was slicker, but it didn't feel like it had as much heart, and it felt a little too streamlined.
So it showed up at the party wearing the cheapest shirt from the most expensive store in town.
That's actually a pretty good metaphor. Besides that, I just didn't feel the story was as good, and the combat you're essentially unkillable after the introduction in which you are a punching bag. It's a really weird thing all the games kind of share, but it's the worst in Witcher 2. Anyway, Witcher 3, super good game. I did like it a lot. It's clearly the best one in the trilogy.
I have 2 thumbs and they go up.
But I don't think it's Game of the Year. I disagree with that. I don't think it's even the best of the nominees. I don't know if I want to reveal because I'm working on a Game of the Year like post thing. But do you guys have in your minds what you think the game of 2015 is? Do you have opinions?
I couldn't possibly, since I haven't played any games from 2015 in 2015. I am playing games while in the year 2015, but nothing that was released this year.
Leon's game of 2015, Tales of Zestiria. I think that came out this year on PC at least, so it wins by default.
It is coming out. I mean, or it is out, but I won't play that for a while because I still have to play, but besides the game I'm playing now, even just Tales games, I need to play through Xillia and Xillia 2 before I even get to that. So somewhere in like 2017, I will play the game that was released this year.
Yeah, Zestiria came out on January 22nd, 2015 in Japan. Oh. So that counts. It wins by default. That's your pick, Leon. I've decided for you.
Thanks.
It's either that or something from like the mid-90s.
I'm playing Skyward Sword. It was released.
I saw you tweet about that. You're like, oh, this game and its huge open world is so relaxing. And I just took all of my strength not to text you and just be like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's literal nonsense garbage gibberish to describe Skyward Sword.
It's lovely. I'm just running around fields and finding cute animals. And
it is a pretty game, but it's like a series of like tiny, like pretty connected areas that all funnel you in one direction, and there's like no sense of exploration at all.
I'm exploring all kinds of crap. Maybe you're bad at exploring, but I'm finding all kinds of artifacts and stuff and collecting things.
That's a rabbit hole unto itself, but I could not get past those controls. I hated the bird thing. Was not an enjoyable experience for me, but I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Johnny.
2015,
best video game you played.
I don't know, man. Cool. My problem this year was I didn't finish a lot of the games that I played, so I'm not entirely like I played a reasonable stretch of The Witcher 3, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna put this down. Because what always happens with The Witcher is it comes out, CD Projekt Red fucking patches the shit out of it. They make it way better. They add tons of DLC, and then I never go back and look after it after it's better. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm going to wait until the last major DLC gets released, which is, I think, called Kingdom of Blood or something, or Hearts of Stone, or anyway, it comes out in January apparently.
Yeah, and Hearts of Stone came out, but there's a new one after that. That's not.
Yes, so as soon as that comes out, I'm gonna rededicate myself to it. Go in and just be like, yeah, this is my shit. You know, like I finished Arkham Knight. I think that's like the only 2015 game that I finished this year.
Jeez, we're really out of the loop. Johnny, I think we should just be honest with ourselves here, and the only non-standard thing you need for The Witcher 3 is the mod that replaces all the combat with Gwent, the card game.
Yeah.
I don't know who made that mod. I wish I could credit them off the top of my head, but that is perfect.
Yeah, read that. But games that I can say like really that I like totally adored playing this year. Her Story.
Which won Best Narrative and Best Performance.
Yep, really love that game. Loads of fun. I've been playing Just Cause 3. Lots of stuff to blow up. A lot of people are saying like, oh, well, it's kind of just like Just Cause 2. And I'm like, yeah, I did not have a problem with that.
I think that won Best Explosions?
I hope so, because the explosions are incredible. They're really, really good. But the other one, Pillars of Eternity, I'm in love with, but I'm remiss to say that it's Game of the Year material, because all it really does is just take old like Interplay Infinity Engine games like Baldur's Gate 2 and fucking Planescape Torment and try and update a couple of systems in it. But I really love the narrative. I really love the character creation. I love the systems.
And you're in it.
Yeah, and I'm also in it. And not just as a grave. I am in it as a grave. You can find my grave, but I'm in it as a player character. You can play as me.
Bias.
Yeah. Corruption.
Hey! I did just cop to it. It would be biased if I was trying to hide it. I'm not trying to hide it.
I'm playing. Never mind.
And the Phantom Pain I played a reasonable amount of, and I was kind of impressed how far away from previous Metal Gear installments it managed to go.
Yeah, because instead of having too much story, it's missing chunks of story, and therefore is completely unsatisfying.
Yeah, but also in terms of just, how much of a weird playground it kind of is, because I'm so used to when I look at Metal Gear games being like, okay, you got the new thing. Now use the new thing to do the next thing that you have to do. Or, they're in my mind, they feel like they're such like let around by the nose experiences.
No one can deny that the Fox engine is doing some fucking work there. Like that's a really impressive piece of technology. But it's not a super good game.
No, but I was kind of fascinated with it because it just seemed,
I think both Metal Gear and Fallout 4, both of which were nominated for Game of the Year, are not only not deserving of that, but just bad. They're not good games. So, but I do think the other nominees, Super Mario Maker and Bloodborne, totally deserve to be there. But those are the big awards. Let's see what else here. Rocket League won Best Indie Game. That's totally fair, although Undertale and Her Story both could have made reasonable.
Undertale I have. It's another one of those, I'll get to you.
I'm like halfway through it. It's really emotionally draining. It's really good, but like I have to be in a certain frame of mind because that game is not. It doesn't pull any punches. It
gives you the feels. It gives you the feels.
Okay, last thing before we move on from the Game Awards, at least from the award part, is that Splatoon won Best Shooter and Best Multiplayer, beating Call of Duty, Destiny, and Halo in both those categories. How crazy is that? Splatoon.
Suck
the Squid Game by Nintendo. Fantastic. I loved it. Now, do you guys want to talk about the games that were announced there? Because there were some, including one I think, Johnny, you want to take lead on this?
What?
Oh, yeah. So a personal dream kind of came true. I mean, it hasn't come true yet, but just the fact that everybody's talking about it is kind of this like, oh my god, really? Oh, I have warm fuzzies,
That was slightly erotic. What was that?
Hey, Austin, just because I make noises and you decide to find them erotic, I cannot control what it is that you're attracted to, so you can just cool your jets, mister. We'll talk about this later. Psychonauts 2. Or at least the opportunity of Psychonauts 2. Tim Schafer, Double Fine Productions, have announced that they've decided they want to go back to the Psychonauts franchise. So they're employing their own crowdfunding platform, Fig.co. Fig, which is founded by... let me see if I can remember all the people involved here.
James P. Fig.
No. Fergus Urquhart, current CEO of In Exile Studios, and ex-founder of Interplay Entertainment. Tim Schafer and another Double Fine employee who used to, I think, be their CFO or something like that. And...
CFO. Of course, CFO stands for Chief Financial Octopus.
Yes, yeah.
Double Fine's a great company.
And the fourth guy is, I think it's Fergus Urquhart. Yeah, it's Fergus Urquhart, who was CEO of Obsidian Entertainment, used to work as Black Isle from Interplay back in the day. Anyways, what makes Fig interesting is that as a crowdfunding platform, not only does it allow consumers to buy in at reward levels like Kickstarter, but it actually also allows people who are unaccredited investors to actually invest money in the game and possibly get financial capital back if the game does well.
So it's not only a Psychonauts 2 announcement, it was also kind of like a stealth promotion for a new kind of Kickstarter thing.
Well, Fig has actually had 2 projects up already.
But not any that anyone's talking about.
Not really. The first one got a little bit of press, but I by no means, anything is near as splashy as Psychonauts 2 would be. So they've asked for $3.2 million or $3.3 million, which I believe was the amount that they got for Broken Age back in the day. And as of the recording of this podcast, which I think is only about 5 or 6 days into funding, they're kind of sitting comfortably at 2.2 million with 33 days left.
So they should be fine.
I mean, one would hope so. I know that there's a lot of what's the technical term? Haters out there who seem to think that Double Fine doesn't manage its money very well. I prefer to refer to these people as people who paid for but did not watch the documentary.
I mean, there are criticisms of Double Fine to be made. They stretched themselves pretty thin at times. They did drop support for Space Base. They're
DF9.
not. Mm-hmm. They're not flawless, no. Let's be real. But yeah, the hate is overblown.
Absolutely. I feel so anyways. I feel like they've got more good under their belt than bad, and to criticize them about how they manage their money when you're not really privy to how they manage their money is...
Or you were, there's a ton of footage you can go watch where they explain it, but whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, I still maintain that the Double Fine adventure documentary by 2-Player Productions is probably the most easily accessible resource about game development that you could possibly invest time into if you don't know anything about it. So go check that out if you want to know more about the trials and tribulations of what it means to actually develop a video game. Getting back to the meat of the story, though, or the meat substitute if you're a vegetarian. Psychonauts 2!
Hopefully with 100% less meat circus?
I don't know. I was kind of a fan of the meat circus. In the same way that I like, scary movies. And then afterwards I go, why did I watch that?
Leon, have you ever played Psychonauts?
Nope. Nothing you guys have said for the last 10 minutes have meant anything to me.
Oh no, Leon.
I have time and time again.
It's like $1 on Steam, you goof.
I have tried to get Leon to play a game that I like and have him come back and say, thank you, I value our friendship.
It always goes badly.
You mean a lot to me. I just don't care about anything you say.
I think this might be the one, Leon.
It's a platformer. It's not a complicated RPG. It's not some weird hipster indie shit. It's just an old platformer.
It's an old school platformer with some pretty fantastic art design and level design.
It's $9, so
this Christmas sale's coming up. It's going to be 8 cents.
Then I'll wait for the Christmas sale and I'll think about it. But I'm already in the middle of another game I'm playing, and I don't collect cheap games on Steam the way Johnny does. I just
I mean, that's very responsible of you.
Yeah.
But Psychonauts is 7 hours long. It's not gonna clog up your flow.
Okay.
It's so charming.
Okay.
And it's funny too. It's funny in a way that
peer pressure.
It's funny in a way that video games are not often funny.
Okay.
If you sit down and think, I'm like, okay, tell me about funny games that you played.
Maniac Mansion?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot.
I guess who helped work on Maniac Mansion?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's the same guy.
All right. I'll
Is that intentional, Leon?
No, it was not. I just don't remember every last person who does stuff. But yeah, all right. I'll consider it.
So I'm going to go ahead and make a recommendation here. If there's one game that you guys haven't played that you're like, ooh, what's good, even though it's a little dated, go play System Shock 2. And then after that, pick up Psychonauts and go to fig.co. And if you feel taken by Psychonauts, then pledge to Psychonauts 2. Okay. Because I'm excited.
Do I have to play System Shock 1 first?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
No.
Is it like a completely unrelated story, or is it, or what?
It's got nothing to do with Psychonauts.
No, that's not what I mean. I'm saying, do I have to play System Shock 1 before I play System Shock 2?
No, System Shock 2 does a reasonably good job of setting up exactly what's going on in canon in the universe.
Oh, okay.
System Shock 1 is pretty inaccessible. Like it's from the old Ultima Underworld school of first-person gaming, where it was like, you use the keys to move around, and then to attack, you had to click on the enemy on screen, even though it was like a first-person shooter. And it was.
I have a headache just thinking about it.
It's I mean, System Shock 2 is a much better game.
Okay.
Before we transition into System Shock talk, because that is leading somewhere.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify: Tim Schafer play-tested Maniac Mansion, but he only designed the sequel, Day of the Tentacle.
Okay.
Yeah, which they are remastering right now.
All right. You know what? As much as I love Maniac Mansion, I've never played Day of the Tentacle.
Day of the Tentacle is I prefer it. I prefer Day of the Tentacle.
Okay.
It's really wacky.
Okay.
But it's right up there. When you ask me about funny games, I'm like the Monkey Island series, Day of the Tentacle, Psychonauts, Jazz Punk.
Would you like to see Tim Schafer's resume? Because that's the answer to the question, apparently.
Yeah, almost.
All right.
System Shock, Johnny.
So this wasn't actually announced at the Video Game Awards, or the Game Awards, sorry.
Moving on.
But it did kind of pop up a couple of days later, and that was when Otherworld Entertainment, a brand new company, founded by Paul Neurath. Paul Neurath, who used to be he was the founder of Looking Glass Studios. If Looking Glass Studios sounds familiar to you, you may remember games.
You're a nerd.
Yeah, you may remember games like Thief, say, System Shock, Deus Ex. They did some work on. These guys have some pretty incredible. No, not Otherworld. Sorry, Other Side Entertainment. My mistake. Other Side Entertainment. They had some pretty important footholds in the gaming industry back in the 1990s, and Other Side, which is basically made up of ex-Looking Glass employees, founded by one of the co-founders of Looking Glass Studio. They've only got one title on the go right now, which is called Underworld Ascendant, which is supposed to be a sequel to the Ultima Underworld games. I'm on their mailing list. I was part of the Kickstarter. Some of the stuff they're doing looks pretty interesting, but I haven't played it or seen any real tangible stuff yet. But again, I'm interested enough because of the pedigree that the names have. They put a teaser page up on their website a couple of days ago that an industrious community member managed to pick apart like so much moistly cooked cornbread that brought to a splash page decrying that System Shock 3 is not necessarily in development, but is going to be in development. There's talk in the industry as to whether or not it's going to be crowdfunded or kickstarted, because none of the companies that are attached to the project right now have a lot of operating capital behind them. Night Dive Studios, which is basically at this point in time a game publisher that has only managed to republish old games that just haven't made their way to new systems. Like, the reason why you can go to Steam or goodoldgames.com and get System Shock 2 or games like Strife or Harvester is because of Night Dive Studios. They, up until this point in time, all they've really done is dig old IPs up that nobody seems to own anymore, and then bring them back. And some great, like, classic titles, too. Not just the ones that I mentioned, but...
There was, like, a decade there where everyone's like, well, I guess we're never playing System Shock again. It's just gone. No one can ever do it. And then they just showed up one day and did it, so...
I know. I mean, and anybody who had been interested in it, like myself, way back when, looked at the mess that the rights of System Shock 2 had, because it was like the copyright for System Shock went to EA, but then the rights to the property and the likenesses went with Looking Glass, but then Looking Glass closed down, and all of their assets passed to the insurance holder, and the insurance holder didn't want to sell them, but they were interested in co-founding. It was like, looking at that back in even like 2010 was like, oh my god, what a clusterfuck. I'm never going to see this game again.
But they
System
Shock 3 might exist, but it's not going to be like BioShock level quality, right? Where we're all comfortable with coming to terms with that.
I don't know, I mean, they've also announced that they're remaking System Shock 1 with more modern mechanisms in place. Oh. And there are a couple of prototype screenshots, and it looks pretty good. But, on that note, it doesn't really take much to make a game look good these days. I think before we can really call what kind of product System Shock 3 is going to be, we're going to have to see what Other Side produces in terms of Underworld Ascendant. And right now, all we have is just, like, in-engine footage.
I took the idea of the System Shock 1 remake to basically be, like, an elaborate high-res texture pack. Like, I don't know how much remaking they're doing.
No, they're remaking it right from the ground up. Like, if you look at the screenshots for the original System Shock, where the inventory overlay and the map and your life and, like, all your implants are all on the screen, and really, like, your view of the area is only 1/3 of the main screen.
I mean, I'm not saying they're not doing the coding from the ground up. I'm saying how if they had released it and it wasn't a remake, right? It wouldn't be impressive still. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it feels like a mod more so than an actual game made in the year of our Lord 2015.
Yeah, and I mean that again. That kind of remains to be seen what they show up to the table with.
And even if they do crowdfund System Shock 3, like no Kickstarter has ever been successful enough to hang with AAA development. Like, not a one. So we really have to manage expectations here.
And I'm okay with that, Like, I've among the three of us, I have probably gone to Kickstarter the most.
I don't think that's disputable.
Yeah. And I've got to tell you that I've really yet to be disappointed by
that's
one.
Good.
Like, things have come out, and I'm like, hey, like, this is kind of what I asked for. And maybe it's missing bells and whistles, like you don't necessarily have a voice acting cast, or like maybe the writing isn't as spectacular for some of them, but like. I'm trying to like dig back here and really go through my Kickstarter list and think about anyone that I was truly disappointed about, and I can't. I loved Pillars of Eternity. Wasteland 2 was exactly what I wanted it to be.
Did Leon ever beat Wasteland 2?
I played Wasteland 2. I don't beat games that I don't like.
So you didn't like it, okay?
No, I feel like I made that clear.
Dead State. I even liked Double Fine Adventure. I don't even remember the name of it because I just saw Double Fine Adventure so much.
Broken Age.
Yeah, Broken Age.
Yeah, I feel bad for Leon. He hasn't gotten to contribute in a while. Did you have a topic you wanted to jump in here with, Leon?
I'm sorry, Leon. I'm
you're fine.
I got so much news this week. I'm excited.
No. All the news topics this week are things that have nothing. I'm interested in them.
This is a very Johnny episode.
Yeah, this is a very Johnny episode. Some of these things there are things that you actually, Austin. God damn it! There's like literally nothing that that we want to talk about this week that interests me even a little bit.
You can't even just throw something off the dome. You got nothing. What have you been thinking about while we're here talking about video games?
I'm just like dancing in my chair. I'm having a great time.
No.
Is like my renaissance.
Yeah. If you want to know what I've been doing for the past 35 minutes while you guys have been talking about video games that I don't like, I've just been reading various Wikipedia pages related to Mega Man, and
that's so Leon.
And I realize that because I don't play portable games, there's like a handful of Mega Man games that I've never played before. And I knew this, but it's like, oh my god, if only I gave a shit about portable games. But I don't. I'm very fixed in what I'm comfortable doing and playing. And
you can't even make an exception for Mega Man?
I don't want to. No, because it's a comfort thing. I literally can never get comfortable playing a portable game. It's something to do with my hands and my eye level. It just feels weird and awkward to me, and I don't feel comfortable. You don't understand what it's like when I'm playing a video game. Me playing a video game, you know, there's like when you see people like on couches playing video games and like their heads bobbing around and getting all into it and shit. That's not me. When I'm playing a video game, I'm lying down completely. I have like a bunch of pillows all around me and blankets and shit. And it's just like, I might as well be sleeping, is what I'm trying to say. So the very idea of me like sitting there and like holding a screen in front of my face at eye level and like, no, just the very idea is horrible.
Do you have like unwieldy, huge meat hands, like just these monstrous claws?
I have very, very large hands. I shouldn't say very large. I mean, they're not like Andre the Giant large.
Are you salad fingers?
But if I stretch them, which I can, from end to end, I mean, I don't have a ruler on me, but they're really long. It's a peculiarity of my family. My older brother, his hands are even longer. It's like creepy. It's like Nosferatu with him. Whereas mine are just you'd only notice it if I point it out to you and I stretch and you'd be like, ugh. So anyway, what was my point? Oh yeah.
That you're from the Slender Man family, yeah, apparently.
Something like that. Yeah, we could talk about anything not related to video games, but again, all the topics this week are things that I should care about but don't.
How about we do some questions, because you can get in that mix, and then we can maybe end on some topics?
Sure. I mean, we can see what shakes out. Why don't you go to your questions first, Austin?
Always deflecting responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do it. Fine. Okay, fine. Let's.
It's too late. I've already pulled them up.
All right, go ahead.
Oh no. Why would you do this to me? Phoenix asks, since you guys recently discussed Batman vs. Superman, Watchmen Part 2. I guess that's a joke. What would you like to see from a DC cinematic universe? Leon, the curse is back. Color?
Yeah.
Writing, cinematography, acting. Just any of the things that are normally in films would be nice.
Yeah, really. There's nothing like specific to the DC cinematic universe that I want that is like deeply about DC. I just want basically all the things that typically make up a good action movie. I want to be in those, and the things that are not, I don't want. And I'm sorry if that's like sort of a vague answer, but no, seriously, I just, I'm not that interested in superhero movies anymore, but I will sit down and watch one if I hear it's good. I think
it's not the properties, right? It's just the quality of the films. Like, no one gives a shit. No one gives a shit about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it's
a good movie.
Yeah, I like Superman. I like the first two Superman movies. I've read a bunch of comics. I like Batman. I've seen all of the Batman movies, and I read a lot of the comics when I was younger. But because of all the other stuff related to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, I'm not that interested in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
And it's not like we're not willing to give credit to DC movies when they're good. Like The Dark Knight is fucking awesome.
I was just gonna say this. I was just gonna say, you know what I think that they're really missing? I really think that they're missing directors of note.
Or talent.
Well, I mean, like that's what I mean by of note. Like, people that actually have good things under their belt. Because for some reason, Marvel keeps picking these guys who are either like
they got Kenneth Branagh for Thor.
For fuck's sakes! I mean, like what fucking meeting were you in where you're like, well, we want to direct this like super epic kind of medievally fantasy meets like modern world. Who are we gonna do? I know. How about the foremost Shakespearean director of our time? That's a good idea. Call him and see if he'll do it. It's
just kidding. You're fired. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Was it that fucking easy? Like, was that the conversation right there?
I assume the conversation involved a large check. Is the only way that shook out.
Presumably, but I mean, at some point in time, like, I really doubt that they went to Kenneth Branagh as their third choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really don't think that they were like, well, let's see if, I don't know, Corey Trevorrow will do it.
With all of that said, though, I feel like the spirit of the question is, like, is there something specific to DC? Like, I would dig, like, a Martian Manhunter movie. Like, that guy seems pretty cool.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Or something like Teen Titans. Like, they're a bunch of cool people. I think I'm revealing that most of my knowledge comes from, like, those cartoons.
That's fine.
The Teen Titans and Justice League cartoons.
There's nothing wrong with Young Justice.
So, I mean, I'd be about that. They're too interested in, like, building up these, like, crossover showdowns with, like, 8 characters all at once. It's like a garbage train wreck.
Yeah.
I still think, like, I mean, probably the most emblematic of that is the last trailer when Wonder Woman just runs in and it's like, she with you? I thought she was with you. I'm like, is that honestly? Because if that's the effort that you're going to introduce the Wonder Woman character,
we can't anymore. Damn you, Phoenix, and your question. Next question. You guys ready?
Go for it.
Brent asks, how pretty do you feel right now?
Oh, so pretty.
Do you feel pretty and witty?
Yeah.
And gay?
Yeah, pretty and witty. And, yeah. Pretty, witty, and gay.
All right.
I wouldn't say I feel pretty, maybe cute. I'm feeling pretty cute right now. How about you, Leon?
Leon?
In deep down inside, I always feel pretty. But then I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh.
Well, it's what's in the inside that counts, right?
Right.
Well, you didn't say that with much conviction.
Yeah.
Those are the bits that people are going to eat.
Excuse me?
No, the skin is always the best part.
What is happening? What is happening to the show?
Cook it right. If you cook it, or if you, like, leave it in the fridge for a day, you can't get that back.
What is going on? Okay, well, no one's gonna address the cannibalism.
No. Let's just let people wonder.
I feel like we addressed it enough. Thank you, Austin.
Yeah. Next.
You guys are creepy. Next question is Fourth Man, who asks, if given the chance, would you three make riffing like Mystery Science Theater, and what movies would you like to do?
We've been talking about, like, watching a movie together, like, for fucking ever. But I don't know what it would be. It would have to be a movie we constantly talk about on this show. Otherwise it would just be, like, weird that we were suddenly watching it.
Yeah, there are a couple that have come up multiple times, like It would be one. Yeah. I feel like there's no, like, uncharted territory when it comes to movie riffing. Like, everything worth digging into has been done, so we'd always have to play, like, second banana to someone else's thing, you know?
Yeah. It also, I'm of the school personally that if you're going to be riffing a movie, that you've got to take time to actually watch it several times and, like, write out jokes and things like that, as opposed to just freeballing it.
Yeah, I mean, I watch the movie I do on Renegade Cut a couple times before, everything is complete with the writing. But adding jokes in addition to all that, that sounds like it would take several viewings. And God, no. I mean, we talk about it, but.
Yeah, it would basically mean that we would probably all have to watch the movie individually and then write our own jokes out, but then we'd have to meet and, like, measure jokes.
I think there's something to be said for the genuine, like, first time reaction of people and, like, trying to ad-lib jokes. Like, so there'd be that, like, the first time we all sit down and watch it, and then maybe after we watch it a couple times, and then we, like, hammer out, like, a script, right? And then that would be, like, the finished product we'd want to show people. But it's not like there wouldn't be any value in the first viewing. No. You know what I'm saying? And it would, like, I'm sitting here trying to think of what we could watch. I feel like we boxed ourselves into a corner where the only answer is Batman versus Superman.
It may come to that point, gentlemen.
Okay.
We've seriously done that to ourselves.
Yeah. We'd best steel ourselves for the dark night ahead.
We definitely have to watch that. Also, the new Star Wars comes out in like 2 weeks. We have to watch and talk about that, right?
Well, I'm sure we're all going to see it before the end of the year. So
we might have to put a moratorium on when we talk about it, though, because I mean, I'm sure that none of us have pre-purchased tickets.
No, but I don't live in. Look, there's like 1 million theaters where I live, so I will find one where I can go see it.
One way or another.
Right. No, I mean, I don't live in like a small town where there's like one theater. I live in Baltimore. There's like 1 million theaters. I always go to one, but that's only because I have a membership card there.
La-dee-da, somebody's a theater member. I've got a library card. You don't hear me talking about how many books I read.
Yeah, the internet's going to be like 80% Star Wars spoilers by volume the day it comes out, right? Like, there's no hiding from that.
That's
but I honestly don't give a rat's ass about spoilers anymore. If I had a rat's ass, I would hold on to it because no, this is more valuable. This rat's ass is more valuable than not hearing about this movie.
No, to me, I mean, I'll be seeing it the morning it comes out. And I'm not like joking. I mean, I want to avoid spoilers because that does mean something to me. And also, I don't want to go when there's going to be a lot of people there.
You're going to rent the whole thing out?
No, I just mean like...
This is Leon's theater.
No, I just mean when I go to a movie at like 9:30 in the morning, it's just me. And like...
Wait. The theaters you go to show movies at 9:30 in the morning?
Or 10, or 10 sometimes.
What kind of fucking heathen practice is that?
It's for people who don't want to have to deal with children and assholes who just kind of want to have the theater to themselves and like again maybe like one or two other people.
That sounds crazy talk, Leon.
Well, that's it. It works for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it does. My
Leon,
world
do you wanna
shaken.
Do you want to hit some of your questions, or we want to go back to topics?
I will hit a couple of my questions. People were nice enough to say, no, this one's no good.
Take that, question asker. I saw someone ask in the comments, I think on Channel Awesome, like, where did the questions come from? Twitter.
Twitter.
Don't be mean. I'm at Austin Yorsky on Twitter, and every Wednesday I ask for questions, and then if you reply to that, I'll read them. So
I'm at Scatterbrains, and if you ask questions whenever, I just kind of answer them on the spot.
Okay.
Although I did have a song request this week.
Oh.
Someone was like, "Will you sing this song?" I was like,
"Stop encouraging him."
Hey, I didn't say I'd do it this week. I said I'll get to it.
I'm at Renegade Cut. It is preposterous that you are not following me on Twitter. If you listen to our shows, it's like, why would you not?
Some people don't have Twitter. They don't have accounts.
I know, but that's stupid.
Damn! Just put those Twitterless fools on blast.
It's Twitter. It's like Twitter now is like Facebook like a few years ago. It's like,
I don't have a Facebook, and the only reason I have a Twitter is because I started working for Channel Awesome, and they were like, you should get a Twitter so you could like pimp stuff.
That's because you're like secluded in like a bunker. You like
it's a swamp.
You don't want anyone to know what you look like or what your name is. Look, never mind.
I use my real ass name.
Okay. Unemployed historian says, "Is a hot dog a sandwich?" Yes.
Yep. No, you fucked up, Leon.
No, it is.
You fell into his trap.
No, it is. It is hot dog. Sandwich. Hot dog is a sandwich for the same reason that a sub is a sandwich. It's the same role.
Played.
It's the same role. So.
No. See, this is what he wants. Unemployed historian is engineered. This is a common trap that all podcasters eventually face when they do this long enough. This is how they get you guys. A sandwich is food that has 2 or more pieces of bread that makes it into like a portable thing. A hot dog bun is a single piece of bread split.
Not always.
Yes, that's the secret. You've been tricked. You've been lied to.
No, I'm sorry, but I disagree.
I don't think you understand how I eat my hot dogs, Austin.
Yeah, you're talking a lot about what shape my hot dogs come in.
You see, at home I bake my own bread. right?
Yeah, and okay, so I know where this is going, Johnny, and you make a sausage sandwich. Cool. That's not the same thing as a hot dog.
Yes.
Here in America.
Even if you use hot dogs, because like you can buy hot dogs and they don't come complete with bun. It's your responsibility to put them in a bun.
Yeah, and then you've made
so
a hot dog sandwich.
If you're saying is a hot dog a sandwich, you can be like, well, no, a hot dog is a sausage. But then the way that a hot dog is presented to you is dependent on your own interpretations of how you like to serve hot dogs. And because I bake my own bread, and that means that I put it into a 2 slice of bread format,
then you've created a hot dog sandwich.
Then yes, it becomes a sandwich. So yeah.
Yes. You've made a hot dog sandwich. Not the same thing as a hot dog. An American hot dog is a hot dog on a bun, which is a single piece of bread that has been split, which does not meet the criteria to be a sandwich. Well, then
he did not ask. He did not ask, is a hot dog in a bun a sandwich? He asked, is a hot dog a sandwich? And if
damn you, unemployed historian!
Then if we're going to go by the literal meaning of that, then no, a hot dog is a sausage.
You're full of shit, Austin. What I'm trying to say... You're assuming too much about what my hot dogs look like. For one thing,
I guess.
Second of all, like the idea that because the hot dog bun is like loosely connected in the two parts, that doesn't make it a sandwich. That is ridiculous. That means that if I like break it, which I always do, then it suddenly becomes a sandwich.
So if you make a sandwich, Leon, and then you like throw it on the ground, it was still a sandwich. Just because you broke it doesn't change what it was.
No, I'm sorry, but my hot dog is a sandwich, and you're wrong. We both decided. I'm gonna just
majority rules.
I can't believe you've done this.
So anyway, I'll do one more.
Tune in next week for the hot sausage debate.
I'm on the sandwich Wikipedia page because that's where authority derives from. It
means nothing.
Any dish wherein 2 or more pieces of bread serve as a container or wrapper for some other food. Guys, a bun is only one.
No, it's not.
It is.
Austin.
That's me.
I'm going to go ahead and ask you to go to the Wikipedia page for then.
Excuse me? I know you're not taking this where I think you are, but Jesus.
And tell me what you think that is, because as far as I know, dictionarily speaking, it's a bundle of small sticks.
You know I'm going to cut that out.
Fuck yourself, Yorsky.
Jump up my butt, Austin. All right. So...
I knew this would divide us.
So, I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna do one more. This one doesn't mean anything to us. And this one.
Sure? You don't know.
Fine. Okay. What is your guys' favorite Yoshitoshi Abe series obligatory animated related question done?
Serial Experiments Lane.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know anything about what. I understand that these are all words, but,
he's a director. He directed Serial Experiments Lane, which is the answer to that question.
Whatever.
Okay, then I may have actually seen some of his things.
He also did Technoeyes, or however you're supposed to pronounce that, which I haven't seen, and I hear it's a mind fuck. Come on, Leon.
Hey, wait, what's his name? Because it says that the director of Serial Experiments Lane is Ryutaro Nakamura here.
This person wrote Yoshitoshi. Capital A, capital B, small e.
That's 100% spelled correctly.
Yeah, no, that's right. He's the writer. He's not the director.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and I'm looking right now at his Wikipedia page.
I like the idea that all arguments in the future are going to be settled by Wikipedia pages.
And yeah, you know what, Austin? I got to go with Serial Experiments Lane too. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of a couple other ones. I've heard of Welcome to the NHK, but I've never read or watched it. So there's only one possibility for all of us. I like Lane. It's weird and didn't quite predict the way the internet would turn out because it was made before that it was like super widespread. But it's interesting.
Okay. Let's go to topics again, and then we'll do your questions, Austin. We're just breaking all the rules this episode.
Yeah, and you guys just totally ganged up on me on the hot dog question. I'm still mad.
That was a lot of fun. I really enjoy just being really mean to you. So let's.
I'm being bullied. Help!
I know.
Send help.
Great. Go ahead.
So we'll just talk about the first topic. When I'm looking through the Skype chat that came up was reports indicate that Idris Elba is the front runner for the possible film adaptation of Stephen King's The Dark Tower. Holy shit, guys!
Now, while that is exciting,
mm-hmm.
all right, I do know a little bit about The Dark Tower in terms of Stephen King's oeuvre, because it was also produced as a graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
While I believe I was working in a hobby store. So, do you feel like The Dark Tower could adequately be made into a motion picture? Or do you think they're going to try and pull this whole, like, Hunger Games, Twilight, Part 1, 2, 3,
it's
3.5?
The first Dark Tower book could conceivably be made into a movie. It's much like it's a 7-book series, but the first one was made, I guess, without the expectation of it ever being finished. So it's totally different in like style and like tone and stuff. It's weird. If they're just doing the first one, that would work. If they're doing the whole 7-book series, it would need to be like an HBO series or something. It's very, very long and very, very complicated. That it would end up being like 17 movies. It's just not feasible to be a movie series.
Yeah.
So either show or the whole thing or movie of the first one, both are totally acceptable. Either way, Idris Elba, totally down with that.
I would watch him eat cornflakes.
He's a charismatic dude. And the thing about Roland, the main character of The Dark Tower, is he doesn't have like a huge emotional range. He's kind of like the stereotypical like Western gunslinger, like bad boy thing. But I
have a question, Austin. Do you think that Idris Elba is too street to play Roland?
Okay, that was inevitable. Yes, he's a black guy, and Roland is not black in the books, but it never comes up. There's like a giant spider, and there's a talking train. Like it's like there are no rules in the Dark Tower.
Like, guess what? I'm now in possession of 2 rats' asses.
So the first book doesn't open with someone saying, "Hey, honky," or anything like that. Like immediately explaining what he looks like.
No.
Okay.
The first book is really great, and it has one of the best openings of any of Stephen King's stories. It's Roland chasing Randall Flagg across the desert, and it looks like, from what I'm reading here, that Matthew McConaughey might be in talks to play Randall. And holy shit, Idris Elba hunting Matthew McConaughey is my fucking jam. I want that scene on my gravestone.
There is no limit to effort I would go to see that shit happen.
I want that tattooed on my body. That is a good image. Oh my gosh. You guys, I take it, haven't read The Dark Tower or aren't really familiar with it.
No.
Only in passing.
It's super good.
Which is more than I am usually familiar with Stephen King's work.
It's also really weird. It jumps all around in genres. Like it starts as kind of a Western, and then it becomes like a werewolf story, and then they get transported into like our modern world in New York, and then they run into Stephen King, and he's like, "Whoa, what are you doing here? You're characters." And then it flies off up Stephen King's butt into some like weird metaphysical garbage. It's still kind of endearing, but he doesn't know how to end stories. So
is this all in the first book?
No, this is much later. The first book, like I said, it's almost like self-contained. It obviously hints towards like future stuff happening, but he had never written anything else, it would still be enjoyable. But once the second book hits, it's like, oh, this is my Lord of the Rings. This is my, like Magnus Opus. I fucked that word up, magnum opus, like series thing. It's weird. It's super weird and very Stephen King in a lot of the things it does. I kind of adore it. It's one of my favorite things he's ever done, and I want to see it with Idris Elba.
Yeah, I want to see that too. I think just because I want to watch Idris Elba, but I'm okay with that. I've come to terms with my desire for Idris Elba in my eyes.
Yeah, I don't think the James Bond thing's ever going to pan out, unfortunately. Their loss.
I know that like I could palpably hear us all kind of like turning our heads down and during that moment there, that pause in the conversation, go, yeah.
So, other stories? Square Enix don't lost their mind. You hear about this shit?
Yeah. More video games. Yeah.
You played Final Fantasy VII though, Leon.
I did.
I mean, come on, Leon. This game is like fucking almost 20 years old now.
Right. All right. What's going on here is
it's practically modern to you.
Final Fantasy VII is being remade, and we all know that. But what we didn't know until like a few days ago was that it is going to be broken up into episodes, and we don't know what that means yet. We don't really know what that means. It could mean that we are in it's going to be a very linear game. Like the first part is you're stuck somewhere, and the second part is you're stuck somewhere else. Or does it mean that the overworld map is available to you, but you just other parts are just X'd out or something? Basically, it's very
in fairness
for a JRPG, it's weird.
In fairness, if we actually look at Final Fantasy VII Classic, for the first hunk of the game, you really are stuck.
Yeah.
In Midgar.
No, I know that, but for the rest of the game, there is an overworld map, and so it's just confusing about how it's all going to be set up structurally. Now that we know this,
it could be like the different discs of the original version, because if you remember back in the day, PlayStation RPGs came on multiple discs.
Yeah,
it could be that they just make it like the greatest hits of Final Fantasy VII, like they do all the big scenes, and that's episode 1, and then episode 2 is like Dirge of Cerberus or Crisis Core or Advent Children or whatever. Like they yeah, that's another option. It could just be like a Telltale style, like, oh, we're stopping for a while. Come back in a couple months, and we'll do more.
Tifa's gonna remember that.
There are a lot of different options, but this news came out like a couple hours after the gameplay footage, which showed it's kind of an action RPG. Like we don't know how actiony it's going to be, if it's like full Kingdom Hearts or it's like Final Fantasy 15 or what. But it's definitely not the turn-based system it used to be. So they're definitely not afraid to experiment.
You can pretty much tell that the news came from like guys who were throwing on their jackets and running out the door.
Somebody else's problem.
Yeah, gotta go by.
It was very much like, it reminded me of the Xbox One thing where they're like, oh, look, you can watch football on it, and we have Call of Duty, and refer to the press release for other details. See ya.
Yeah.
Because they knew no one's going to take that shit well, so, hide it. I don't know. I have no faith in modern Square. So if this turns out to be a huge, ill-advised clusterfuck, I'll be like, yep, that sounds right. But
I love their Western stuff.
The stuff that they just pay for and then other companies make, like Deus Ex and Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah, love it.
Just Cause as well.
Yep.
Yeah. But anything that they're super involved in development, I don't know what their deal is. They mismanage money. They have huge structural problems with their engine and technology pipeline.
Yeah.
They are all thumbs. It's weird.
You can hear the sounds of balls dropping, and I'm not talking about puberty.
Yeah, well, the thing is, when I think about what Square Enix is now, I've avoided a lot of their recent JRPG releases because everything I read about them says, oh, well, that's not what I want at all, so I'm not going to bother. And I admit that means I don't know for sure if I hate all these new games that they're making, and I understand that. But if you describe what a game is and what the game mechanics are, I can just say, oh, well, I just don't want to play that. In the same way that someone can say, well, this is a football game. And say, well, I don't care.
The company that is called Square Enix has no real relation to anything any of us grew up playing with the name Square on it. Like all the people who worked at the company back then work somewhere else. Like they either work for the people who made Lost Odyssey, or they work over at Alpha Dream on the Mario and Luigi games. Like they've all been dispersed. The Square Enix of now is completely unrelated dudes.
Well,
so
and that concerns me because Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger were my games when I was young, my two favorite ones. I've been sitting here for decades saying, oh, if they could just make a third Chrono game and not radical dreamers. I mean like a third proper Chrono game. Or if they make a direct sequel to Final Fantasy VI, that would just make my life.
Leon, did you see that Final Fantasy VI is coming to Steam?
Yeah, it's just the isn't it the iOS version of it?
It's the MS Paint version.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no need.
It's the ugly as goddamn sin version.
Yeah, they just I mean, sure, they will release it on other platforms, but an actual sequel, I feel like would be inevitable because almost all the other popular Final Fantasy games got sequels. 4 did, not what was it? 12 sort of did, 13, 7. Almost all the big ones got some kind of sequel to it. And I guess it's only a matter of time before someone says, oh, this is the other great one that we made. And they do. But then, and it's the game I've been wanting since I finished playing the first one when I was a youngster. And if they fuck it up, it's like, and they make it, it's like, it's just something I want and now something I dread.
I've always been kind of fascinated when people remake or revisit things that the company they work for had to do with, but then the minds aren't necessarily there. Because it really lays bare this whole concept of like, when you talk about classics,
yeah,
about what makes a classic. Because we might all have a movie in mind, or a book, or a piece of music, or a game, or something like that we all go, oh yeah, no, absolutely, that is a classic. I would not be able to leave home without it. But then when you sit down and actually ask, okay, well, what's the most important thing about this? What is it that makes this a classic? Everybody's answer will be different. And then if you ask them conversely, like, what about the dead weight? What didn't you like? What do you think it could do without? Like, if you had to remake this thing, what would you cut loose? And again, all those answers would vary. Mm. So you're asking people who appreciate the value, like the dollar value of something, who don't necessarily appreciate the same thing in a quality, nostalgic, artistic, entertainment, whatever it is about it that makes it a charismatic classic. You're asking these people to make decisions to try and, like, update it, give it a little zazz, like, put a song and dance routine, twirl the cane, kick the feet up, let's go! And yeah, these people are going to have to make decisions. And they're either going to make decisions based on, like, okay, maybe they have some understanding, or maybe they're just like, okay, well, what's popular right now? Or worse, they're going to make decisions like, I don't know, listening to the community.
Is that how Fallout 4 ended up being Minecraft?
It may have been.
Because that's another series that nobody who was involved in the original is working on any of the modern stuff. Except
New Vegas.
Well, I was talking about Fallout 4 specifically, but...
Yeah.
Gosh, Johnny. You always gotta be so Johnny all the time. Do you guys want to do any more questions? Or
let's do a couple of yours before we go, because I got to do mine.
Mm-hmm. El Consolero actually asked us to talk about the Final Fantasy VII Remake, so we did that. You're welcome. So we killed two birds with one stone. Mr. Sci-Fi Math Guy asks, which do you look forward to more each week? Word Funk or Dice Funk?
Depends on my mood.
It's a different vibe, because Word Funk is like totally just like a chill conversation, like no preparation, no pressure. Dice Funk's like, oh god, okay, but what are you rolling? No, that's the wrong thing. Hold on. Oh god, you're gonna get us killed. Oh, everything's exploding. Is your recording still working? Like it's an entirely different vibe.
Yeah.
But it's also you get the satisfaction of like trying to put out like a story for people versus this where it's like, yeah, this is pretty bad.
Yeah.
We do a chill, laid back show in a flipping out high energy thing. and they're rewarding in different ways and also stressful in different ways. So I don't know that we. Well, Johnny, you have to do a bunch of extra work for Dice Funk. Maybe you should answer this.
I look forward to Word Funk much more.
Okay. Because we don't ruin all of your plans in Word Funk.
No, it's not even a case of ruining or anything like that. You know, it's like I can, you know, when we come to do Word Funk, I can sit down anywhere between 5 to like 30 minutes beforehand, and then just be like, so these things happened, and then it starts, and it's just I can be as inattentive, loose, just sort of like, you know, I can have a glass of wine, enjoy myself, just goof around with my friends. But, like, after Word Funk ends, I need to open, like, 3 character sheets, a document folder, my rule books, and be like, okay, now what?
In conclusion, we're not big fans of effort.
It's not even a case of effort, all right? You know, it's just that, like, it's trying to, because playing as a player in D&D is one thing. Because you're just reacting to the situations that get thrown at you.
Mm-hmm.
As a dungeon master, you have to preemptively react to the situations that the characters might perpetrate.
Yep.
So you know, you may or may not have listened to the last episode of Dice Funk yet. I haven't, but I do know what we talked about. And Austin, there was that bit where I was like, yeah, so at the end of the previous episode, I had no fucking clue what you guys were going to do.
Yep.
So I had to dig through character histories and like where they had been and who they had talked to and be like, okay, well, they might go here, they might do this, they might do this. And it all depends on what character comes up with the best plan. And whether or not that character can persuasively convince the other people to do the same thing. You know, but even then, you don't want to write 5 pages for each one of those, like, 5 or 6 possibilities, and then just be like, okay, so that's 25 pages that I'm just gonna toss in the trash now, because we're not going that way. So
Johnny, your DM style sounds absolutely insane to me. Like, I don't know if I've talked about this on anything we've released, but in the one I'm DMing, like, it's 100% just like balls out. I don't know what's going on. Surprise me. Like, my notes consist of a list of character names and a list of location names, and that's it. And we just totally fucking let it all hang out. People are missing. Someone's missing an eye. Someone is missing a hand. Like, shit's just getting crazy.
I'm usually used to dealing with things a little bit more off the cuff, but we are broadcasting Dice Funk.
It's true.
So I'm trying my best to put a little bit of effort into it, make sure that we have some consistency, and that like you know, my plans for the greater universe at large are actually on cue. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that's going on under the scenes right now that you guys don't even fucking know.
I mean, our party is so stupid. Even if we knew, we wouldn't know what to do with that information.
So yeah,
I have a theory about what's going on, but I don't want to say it either out of character or in character yet, because if I'm right and Ronaldo just whips it out, it'll be awesome. But if he's wrong, it'll be better.
Win-win.
So, finally, just to end the question, is that I have more fun on Word Funk because there's no pressure. I feel like when I'm participating in Dice Funk, there's pressure.
Okay.
And that might be pressure that I put upon myself. Like, maybe people just want me to, like, be an asshole DM that just whips monsters and assholes out of his sleeves and just be like, congratulations, the gods hate you.
That's the title.
But I want to but I want to make something a little bit more compelling, both for the players and for the audience listening. So it's a stressful experience. It's rewarding, don't get me wrong. I'm not being like, fucking Dice Funk, I hate it.
I'm interested to see how your experience DMing us will inform you being a player in any possible future campaigns. Like, how does that work for you? Because I know as a player,
Possibly because everybody has their own DM style. Like I have played under meticulous dungeon masters who are keep detailed records of what you have in your inventory, what you've done with it, whether or not, you specifically said, I'm going to pick this up, when it's like, oh, he stole your bag. And it's like, okay, what was in your bag? It was like, these things. All right, well, you don't have it anymore. Being like,
I'm just curious because I know I'm always thinking about like I don't want to put Johnny through that. That sounds like a pain in the ass to deal with. Like I do have like this undercurrent of like I wonder how he's preparing for this or thinking about this. So I'm just curious because you have a lot more experience if you are also of two minds when you're playing it.
Like I said, sometimes like the DM, people have different DM styles. It is what it is, and you usually get a feeling for that after about, I'd say 6 or 7 hours of playing with someone. Whether or not they've got good ideas about the future, what it is that's underlying the campaign, if they can cope with a goofy party, or a party that doesn't rigidly stick to a path or something like that.
I don't know that there's any other way to play D&D, but the way we play it, anything else sounds like work. Like having to actually like map dungeons and stuff. Like, oh no, it'd kill us. We would die.
So yeah, word funk for me.
Okay.
Although I do enjoy Dice Funk. I'm happy that it's got me writing again. I need a good excuse to start writing again because ever since I worked the job that I'm at right now, I stopped writing for a long time and just like miserable
notes
poetry every now and again.
With a laser, Johnny.
What makes you think I'm not?
Someone in the comments on the YouTube comments, the one I read for last episode of Word Funk says, "Hey, could you give us links to where Austin and Johnny do things?" And I said, yeah, here's Austin's Patreon. This is where he does all his things. And Johnny works at a laser factory, and there is no link to that.
I mean, I'm sure there's a link to the company. It's just I don't think you're going to buy any Canadian lasers, listeners.
Also, we probably shouldn't dox Johnny.
I know. I wasn't suggesting we do. Although that would be funny.
This is his address. No. All right. So
do we not self-promote enough? I feel like I'm annoying whenever I bring it up. I'm like, oh, you should follow us on Twitter. God damn it. That was a fucking stupid, selfish thing to say.
Go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Renegade Cut. It's how I continue to do things.
I don't really do much on the internet, to tell you the truth. I'm like the straight man of the group. I work a regular job. I come home and I guest star on podcasts. You'll find me occasionally in like somebody else's work. You'll be listening to an episode of, I don't know, someone.
You're the normie of the group.
There've been a couple of people. I'm the normie?
Yeah, comparatively.
Yeah, you got your shit together.
It looks like I've got my shit together. All right.
Although in like a couple months, we're going to find out if I'm going to be a lawyer soon. So that's a thing that's going to happen. That'll be weird.
I mean, I have a day job too, but I don't consider it my career because technically it's like a couple hours under full time and I don't care about it.
I just type my name into Google to see what happens if people are like looking for me. So the first things that come up are my Twitter, my Patreon, a bunch of pictures of people who are not me because there are no pictures of me on the internet, and Johnny's Twitter.
Okay. When I type, the problem with typing Leon Thomas into Google is there's a bunch of other Leon Thomases.
There's infinity Leon Thomas.
Way more famous than me.
I'm the only Austin Yorsky in the universe.
All right.
The first thing that comes up when you Google me is my Twitter.
Mm-hmm. So you got that SEO down. Good job.
A list of guys who are named Johnny Maloney on Facebook. The Wasteland 2 wiki of my character.
Fair.
And then the Word Funk TV Tropes podcast.
We've done it. We hit the big time.
I typed in Leon Thomas on Google. And I'm like scrolling through pages, pages, and it's all this one guy. He's like 22.
Is he hot?
He's not hot. I mean, he's on television, so he's TV attractive.
Mm-hmm. Leon, you gotta get your brand
Renegade
stronger.
Cut, if you Google Renegade Cut, you're right there.
Well,
man.
yeah. Oh wait, I'm finally here. It's like 500 images down. There's a picture of me from the Ridley Scott episode. That's nice, I guess.
You gotta change the spelling of your name.
It's too late.
Like The Weeknd, he drops that E, and that jumps up his Google results. That's how you do it.
Okay.
Or Churches with a V.
Okay.
I like that that's the first image of you that crops up, because you've got like one eyebrow kind of arched and the other one raised slightly, and you're looking up to your top right-hand corner like, what?
Like, I can't believe I have to be on camera for this one. All right. Anything we want to say before we go?
You sure you don't want to Google anything else on a podcast? Oh my goodness.
Hey, seriously, anything you guys want to say before we go?
Yeah, kids, I know that the hourglass is like a thing, but don't eat sand, because it doesn't give you time, it takes it away.
Deep.
Oh, I did have one more thing I wanted to say. What if Donald Trump is like the squid from Watchmen? like he's so terrible that he gets everyone else to join together.
I said this like 30 episodes ago. I think he's a performance artist drawing attention to America's racism. Like, he's like, look how many supporters I have. This is us. This is the dark heart of America. I've exposed you.
Yeah. In all seriousness.
And then he goes, vote for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. In all seriousness, he is just a monstrous piece of shit. It is embarrassing that I shouldn't say we, but maybe the media took him as seriously as they did for so long. It's funny because he's doing interviews now, and like broadcasters are like completely done with this shit. so even like conservative guys like Joe Scarborough are like, no, you screw you, cut the commercial. You're done talking now. And so all his interviews in the last 48 hours have just been like the host saying, "Are you kidding me? You're horrible." It's like we're done taking him seriously.
I got one more thing that I want to say, but okay. I mean, no, Austin.
No, Johnny, you go. I'm thinking.
I was just gonna make one last plea for anybody who was sitting on the fence about Mystery Science Theater 3000, about the reboot, to pledge, because over the course of their Kickstarter, they've started to release some details about who's going to be working on the show, and I'm honestly really excited. They've announced... They've announced the new host. They've announced who's going to be the new Mads. Like, the host is going to be Jonah Heston. They've got the voices of the robots, whose names escape me right now. Felicia Day is going to be the new bad guy, with Patton Oswalt playing the son, TV son of TV's Frank. They've announced more writers. Actually, just yesterday they announced that Rick and Morty creators Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland are going to be new writers for the show, as well as Rob Schrab, who did help write for the original series. He's going to be directing the next Lego movie. There's going to be Ernie Klein, who wrote Ready Player One. Dana Gould, who's a fantastic comedian and also used to write for The Simpsons. Yeah, like, if you go to the Kickstarter, if you were feeling a little iffy about it before, go back to the Kickstarter, have a look at the latest update. I think it's going to be really good.
I'm excited about everyone except Patton Oswalt. Okay, Austin, anything you want to say before we go?
I'm playing Yoshi's Woolly World, and you can unlock different Yoshis, and one of them looks like a cow, and it's called the Moo Moo Yoshi. It's the best. It's so cute. That's what I have to say. Everyone needs to know.
Okay.
It's important to me that you know that Moo Moo Yoshi exists.
Thank you for that. All right, let's go. I have things to do.
Time to shuffle off the buffalo.